Let's go ahead and have a seat so we can tune in and pay attention to our bodies this morning. Pardon me. Hopefully I won't be clearing my throat a lot. So let's go ahead and find a nice, straight, aligned spine. Take a big inhale through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Just settle into your skin. Really pay attention to everything you're feeling this morning. And then just start to do that nice, deep, slow Ujjayi breath. And as you listen to the sound of your breath, you can start to tune in to any thought patterns that you might notice. Check in with your emotions. Notice what your energy feels like. And then let's go ahead and bring palms together in front of the heart and set our own personal intentions for practice this morning. When you're clear on your intention, take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. We are going to begin standing at the front of the mat in Tadasana. So our emphasis today, it's been a while since I've messed with your hips. Today we are going to be working with the Beauteous Gluteus Maximus, which is your backside. So a little bit of opening through the glutes is also super helpful with low back issues. So let's go ahead and find a nice aligned spine. Just get centered, get rooted. And then let's inhale and reach the arms up and overhead. Just stretch, and then as you exhale, bend your knees, fold forward, and hang in ragdoll. Make sure your neck is relaxed. You're welcome to move the head around if you need to. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and plant the fingertips. Look up and lengthen. And then back down. We're going to step back with the left foot. So you have our right foot forward lunge. I'm just going to hold that for a moment. Drop your left knee down and bring your right hand to the inside of your right knee. Make sure you flex your ankle and roll onto the outside edge of the foot before you start to apply a little bit of pressure on the inside of that right knee or thigh. And let's go ahead and extend the right leg. Coming into a little bit of a hamstring stretch on this right side. If you can, the leg should be straight and the foot and ankle should be flexed. Go ahead and bend your right knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Tilt your pelvis, let the hips move forward. And then go ahead and bring palms together in front of the heart and bring left elbow outside right knee or thigh if you can, pushing into the palms to lift your chest and look over your right shoulder. From here, we'll just bring the hands down, step back to plank position. So go ahead and do the vinyasa of your choice this morning. I'm not going to mess with your vinyasas, which basically means you can throw in push-ups, you can do whatever you want, you can modify, skip, whatever makes you happy. We do want to try and move with the breath, or at least be mindful of the breath before resting. And then when you get to your downward facing dog, just take a moment, loosen up the calves if you need to. Then as you come to stillness in your downward facing dog, I want you to just take a moment to think about the tilt of the pelvis. So in down dog, if we're strongly pushing the hips back and strongly pressing the heels down, then the way we get into the glutes, just to maximize the benefit, is to imagine that we're poking our tailbone up towards the ceiling. In other words, you're tilting your pelvis forward slightly. See if you can kind of sense that. And then we'll go ahead and step forward with the left foot. Just hold your lunge for a moment. Go ahead and drop your right knee down. Bring the left hand to the inside of the left knee. Roll onto the outside edge of that foot and apply a little bit of pressure. From here, we're going to extend the left leg. Straighten it out if you can. Flex the ankle and toes. Let's say hello to our left hamstring this morning. And then bend your left knee. Arms are up and overhead. Pelvis tilts as you let the hips move forward. And then we're going to bring our palms together in front of our heart and twist to the left, right elbow, outside that left knee or thigh. Push into your palms and look over your left shoulder. Bring your hands back down, step forward to your standing forward bend. Just like we did in downward facing dog, I want you to pause for a moment and think about the tilt of the pelvis. So when we're in a forward bending position and we tilt the pelvis even farther forward, that gives us the maximum amount of stretch in our gluteal muscles. So think about trying to get your hip bones to the top of your thighs, or imagine that your tailbone is poking up towards the ceiling. Take one more breath here. And then inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. And then exhale, back down. You're going to step back with your right foot. Hold your lunge for a moment. Being mindful of knee issues, if you are able, we're going to rotate both feet a full 90 degrees to the left. The left arm can reach towards the ceiling. It can reach in front of the left shin. You can continue to support yourself on the floor if you need to. The idea is to let the hips sink until you feel this in that left glute, left hip. Take a couple more breaths. And then rotate back around to the front. Drop your right knee down. So just like we did earlier, we're going to put our left hand on the inside of the left knee and gently press it open. But then what I want you to do is maintain the pressure on the knee and slowly start to move your hips back, pardon me, until you feel it differently in that outer hip. You'll kind of go through a spot where you don't feel much of anything, and then suddenly, wow, there it is. Take one more breath. And then release that, step back to plank. Take your vinyasa. So if you can do vinyasas this morning, that would be fantastic. We do want to be warm to get these large, strong muscles to stretch. So the glutes are a very dense muscle. A little bit of Warmth is useful. Let's go ahead and take the right foot forward. And so from this lunge, again, if you can, both feet turn a full 90 degrees to the right. And then the right hand can either reach for the ceiling or reach in the front of your right shin. But you want to feel this in this right glute, right hip area. Couple more breaths. Rotate the feet back around. Drop your left knee down. Right hand on the inside of the right knee. Roll to the outside edge of the foot. Just like we did before, you're going to apply pressure. So pressure first, and then maintain pressure, and begin to move the hips back until, there it is, that next level of stretch. Bend your right knee, step forward to the front of your mat. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Take your feet to the edges of your mat. This will be the first yogic squat. If you can, please really work this morning on having your feet parallel. So when you allow your toes to rotate out, your glutes tighten. We're trying to loosen them. And so you've got to have your toes pointing forward. So even if you don't go as far down, don't cheat. Don't let the feet splay out. Keep your feet forward and just begin to bend the knees, heels flat. If you don't go as far down, who cares? We're trying to open your glutes. And that's what's most important. So feet are forward. You're as far down only as you can go, and then you're lifting the chest. We're going to take 2 more deep breaths here. And then inhale, come all the way back up. And as you exhale, bring your feet all the way together, palms together. Inhale, reach up, and as you exhale, stick your bum back and have a seat. So Utkatasana. Now what I want you to focus on here is poking that tailbone back and lifting your chest. Take 1 more breath here and notice how your spine feels. You're going to want the same sensation again later. And then go ahead and straighten the legs and fold forward. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, back down. We're going to step back with the left leg, spin the heel flat, come into warrior 2. So find your alignment. And then I want you to interlace your fingers behind your back, squeeze your shoulder blades, keep that right knee bent, fold all the way forward, if you can, down the midline of the body. Almost like you're trying to drift your torso to the left. Come back up, keep your right knee bent. Remember, we're working on those hips. Reverse your warrior, left hand on left thigh, right arm up and over. Come all the way back up into your warrior 2. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our hands to the mat inside the right foot. Pause. Keep your left heel flat. So right now your hips are in a warrior 2 position, correct? We're not changing the feet, so don't adjust the foot stance. But I want you to imagine that you're trying to rotate your hips like you would for warrior 1. Right hip pulls back, left hip pulls forward. Just hold that for a moment. You should already feel your right hip engaging. Right hand outside right foot, swivel onto the left toes now. Drop your left knee down. Walk your right foot over for your first pigeon. Adjust however you need to for knee issues. All we're trying to do is get sensation in that right glute. One more breath here. And then I want you to step straight back, downward facing dog. Remember that tilt of the pelvis, tailbone poking up as the heels press down. And then you can shift into plank and take your vinyasa. Left foot steps forward, right foot spins flat. You're coming up, warrior two. And we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Keep that left knee bent. Fold forward. Try to get your torso to go down the midline. In other words, it's almost like you're trying to drift it to the right. Come back up. Keep that left knee bent. Reverse your warrior. Right hand on your right thigh. Left arm up and over. We're coming back up. Now we're going to take both hands down inside the left foot. And just pause here. Same thing as last time. Don't adjust your feet. Don't change anything but the alignment of your hips. Your left hip pulls back. Your right hip presses forward. As though you're trying to align your hips with the front of the mat. We're trying to get sensation in that left hip, left glute. And then swivel onto the right toes, left hand outside the left foot. Drop your right knee down, walk your left foot over for pigeon. This is just your warm-up pigeon. We're easing into everything. We're just going to be chipping away at any tightness you have in your gluteal muscles. One more breath here. And then we're going to go straight into downward facing dog. Stretch it back. Remember that forward tilt of the pelvis. And then you can shift into plank and flow through your vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, you can either walk or jump forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Take your feet to the edges of the mat again. Second yogic squat, heels are flat, feet are parallel. Please keep those feet parallel. Go down as far as you comfortably can. Lift your heart. Come all the way back up, arms up and overhead. Exhale, palms together. Now listen, you might be in the right stance already, but most of us are going to need to take the feet a tiny bit wider. I still want you to have your feet pointing forward. So I'm going to keep pointing in the direction I'm at and just take my feet outside the mat, but my feet are still parallel. Here's what I want you guys to do. We're going to have the same back posture as we did in Utkatasana, chair pose, but we're going to use this to stretch out our glutes. Start to bend your knees, press the knees wide. Feet are pointing forward, not out to the side. Lift your chest, poke your tailbone back, and begin to press the hips back while you keep your back arched. You're sitting back into your hips. If you're doing this right, you should feel a lot of lengthening in your gluteal muscles. So your back is arched, your feet are pointing forward, your knees are pressing out. You should feel those hips stretching. Take one more breath. Let's go ahead and come on up. Bring your feet together. Bring your palms together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. Step back with your left foot. Spin your left heel flat. Come back into your warrior two. We're just going to start working everything a little deeper. Yet again, interlacing fingers, squeezing shoulder blades together, folding forward. Maybe you can bend your right knee a little deeper. Maybe you can get your torso a little more to the left. So you should be feeling this in your right hip. Rotate towards your right foot now. Both hands are going to come down inside the right foot, just like we did earlier. Align your hips now with the front of the mat. So you're pulling your right hip back, left hip forward. And this might be enough for you, but if you can, take your right arm under your right leg and plant the hand and grab your right ankle with your left hand and pull. And while you're pulling, keep pulling your right hip back. Should be a pretty intense right glute stretch. Come on out of that, swivel onto the left toes, drop the left knee down. We're going into our second pigeon. Drop the right knee, slide the left leg back. Couple of breaths here. And then I want you to come up onto your hands. Go ahead and sit down onto your right glute. Flex the right ankle, open your right knee up to 90 degrees. And I want you to try and get the right elbow or tricep into the arch of the right foot. Palms together as you look up over that left shoulder, trying to lift your torso away from the thigh. If you can't get your right elbow into the arch, put it in front of your right shin. Go ahead and come out of that and open your right knee up a little more. Try and get your right shoulder in the side, the back part of your right knee. And take your left hand to the ceiling. Now, where you're at right now, I want you to remember how this feels. This will be what we're using our strap for in a moment when we're on our back. Go ahead and come on out of that. Find your way to downward facing dog and just stretch. Tailbone pokes up, hip bones are moving towards the thighs. Shift into plank, take your vinyasa. And then take your left foot forward, right foot flat. Come on up. Warrior two. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Here we go again, down the midline. If you can, bend the left knee a little deeper. Drift your torso more to the right. And now we're just going to rotate towards the left foot. Both hands come down inside the left foot like we did before. Align your hips if you can. Left hand under left leg. Right hand grabs left foot and we pull. Keep that right hip pulling forward, left hip pulling back. You should feel something pretty exciting in that left hip. Release your hands, swivel under the right toes, drop the right knee down. Left foot walks over for pigeon number two. And then from here, we're just gonna come on up and sit down onto the left glute, open the left knee up to 90 degrees. See if you can get your left elbow into the arch of your left foot. If not, it goes in front of the shin. Push into your palms as you look up over your right shoulder. Come on up from that, open that left knee up a little bit more. See if you can get your left shoulder to nestle in behind your left knee. Right hand to the ceiling. And then from here, we just go straight into downward facing dog. Heels press down, tailbone presses up, and then shift into plank and take a vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, you can either walk or jump forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. All right, so to balance, we just kind of bring it all together. The arched back with the hips pressing back. The leg crossed like for pigeon, and the other leg down like for Utkatasana or chair pose. This is a great way to stretch the glute and practice balance at the same time. We're gonna stand on the right foot first. You're gonna cross your left ankle over your right knee. Flex the ankle and press that left leg out so it looks like a figure four. Arms are up and overhead. So here we go. The first thing we do is we start to poke our tailbone back. We keep our chest lifted. So remember when we did that kind of a wide squat where we had that gorilla back? Same thing. You start to bend your right knee. The right heel stays flat, just like our yogic squat. We keep pushing the hips back like we do for Utkatasana. We start leaning out over this left shin like we do for pigeon. It's all of the best of it in a nice one leg balance pose. You should feel this in your left glute. Come on up and release. Let's do the other side. So you're standing on your left foot, right ankle crosses left thigh. The ankle flex is so important. Right knee presses out. Arms are up and overhead. So you poke your tailbone back. You keep your chest lifted. You start pushing the hips back. You start leaning out over that right shin so your left knee is bending. It's like everything we've done up to this point kind of all culminates in this beautiful balance pose. And where you are looking for sensation is your right glute. Come on up. Both feet on the ground, roll your shoulders back. Feet together, palms together. Take a big inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Look up halfway and lengthen, and then back down. I want you to either walk or jump back to plank and flow through your vinyasa. Really stretch it out in your downward facing dog. From here, I'd like you to drop to your knees. Be mindful of knee issues. We're going to move into cow face from here. Your left leg is going to cross behind your right. So now my thighs are crossed, but I've got both knees and both feet on the ground. I'm going to try and separate my feet. If you have knee issues, please be careful. You begin to sit your buns back between the heels. So for those of us with tighter hips, we're just trying to get that right glute onto the ground, keeping the knees stacked. Take one more breath. And then just transition back onto hands and knees, uncross the legs, and go the other way. Right knee crosses behind left. We separate the feet, and we sit back between the heels. Try to get left glute to the ground. And then we go back on to hands and knees. Shift into plank and take one more vinyasa. Press those hips up and back. Poke your tailbone towards the ceiling. Press your heels down. Feel your glutes and your hamstrings stretching. And then you can either walk or jump forward and have a seat. Just taking a quick breath or two in Dandasana, staff pose. So we still have a lot of glute opening to do. Hopefully your body is pretty warm now. So just take that opportunity with a straight spine and active legs to check in with your body, your breath, your thoughts, your emotions, your energy. And then we're going to keep the right leg straight. We're going to bring the left ankle on top of the right thigh, just above the knee. Familiar, right? Just like we did in our balance pose. Flex the ankle, lift the chest, lean out of your right leg for a moment. Come up with your hands behind you for a straight spine and bend your right knee. So figure four stretch. You should feel this in your left glute. If you're not feeling it enough, you keep scooching up towards your right heel. If you prefer, you may grab your right shin and lift your chest. One of the most important things is a straight spine. The other thing is a flexed ankle. And you're just trying to get your chest towards your left shin. Take a couple of breaths. And then all we're going to do is bring the hands back onto the floor if they're not still there. Drop that right leg over to the right and let the entire sole of your left foot hit the ground. Even if your left glute is up, that's okay. Left hand behind you, we are twisting to the left. Nice straight spine. And you rotate. And while you're rotating, the internal intention is simply to put the left glute down. It's okay if it doesn't get there. But this is how we get a little bit of extra hip opening and glute stretch along with our spinal rotation. As we unwind from this, we're simply going to move the bum back a little bit and let our left leg slide over on top of the right leg for fire logs. Both ankles are flexed, our shins are stacked on top of each other. Maybe we're leaning forward, maybe we're just sitting upright trying to breathe. You should feel this quite intently in your left outer hip. Take just a couple more breaths. And then come on up and extend both legs out, give them a good wiggle. Right ankle on top of left thigh, just above the knee, flex the ankle, so important. Lean out over your left leg. And then we come up with hands behind us for that straight spine. Bend your left knee. So here we are in our figure four again. The chest is lifted. You scooch up as much as you need to feel it in your right glute, and you keep your spine straight. If you prefer to grab the left shin, make sure that you continue to lift the heart as you pull it forward. From here, we simply let the left leg drop over to the left, get the whole sole, the right foot on the ground, even if the right glute lifts. Rotate around to the right. Right hand is on the floor behind you, twisting to the right. But again, the idea is a straight spine and maybe reaching that right hip for the ground if it's not there. It doesn't have to touch, but we want to get that little bit of extra right glute stretch while we're twisting here. As we unwind from this, again, we're coming into fire logs, stacked logs, Agni Stambhasana. Both ankles flex, you guys, so important. Double check your alignment. Shins are vertically stacked. Maybe you're just sitting up trying to breathe. Maybe you're leaning forward. Going up from that, extend both legs and give them a good wiggle. So before we even do anything else, make sure you're on your sit bones. Kind of scoot your buns back a little if you can. Try and imagine that you're poking your tailbone at the wall behind you. Lift up through the chest and lean out over both legs, keeping your chest lifted, so not rounding forward. It's that same almost arched back that we had in our standing balance, as well as that kind of wide-legged gorilla stretch. Take one more breath here. And then what I'd like you to do is wherever your right hand is, keep it there. It can be on your shin, your ankle, or your foot. You're going to start to bend your left knee and sit up a little bit. Grab your left big toe with the first two fingers and thumb of your left hand, or you can grab the outside edge of the left foot. We're going to keep the right hand on the right shin or foot, keep the chest lifted, and what I'd like you to do is pick your left foot up off the ground. Your calf or lower leg should be parallel to the floor, and you're going to pull it straight back. So this is shooting the bow pose, Arkanya Dhanurasana. And if you've got your heart lifted and you're pulling, you should feel this in your left glute. Go ahead and put your left leg back down, reposition onto your sit bones, lean out. Back is extended, so your chest is lifted. Wherever your left hand is, keep it there. It can be on your shin, it doesn't have to be on the foot. But we're going to come back up and bend the right knee a little bit, and either grab big toe with first two fingers and thumb of right hand, or you grab the outside of your right foot with your right hand. You lift your chest, you lift your right calf so it's parallel to the floor, and you pull it straight back, shooting the bow. Bring that right leg back down. Give both legs a good wiggle. So listen, before I have you roll onto your backs, I want you to just be able to see what we're going to do with this strap. When you were in your super extended pigeon pose and I had you nestle your right shoulder in the back of the knee, it's going to be like that, but you're going to be on your back. So let me show you quickly in case I'm not able to articulate it properly. And I'll show you with the right leg. So watch for just a moment. What I'm going to do is loop a foot, in this case, my right foot, and have both sides of the strap in my opposite hand. I'm going to bend my right knee. Now look, you guys, this is so important. This strap is going to go behind my neck, not my head, my neck. I'm hanging on with my left hand. I'm extending my left leg. I'm extending my right leg a little, and I'm letting the weight of my head open up the back of the right thigh. So if you've got all this slack and you're hanging out with your head on the floor and your legs just you're doing nothing. So you're gonna have to play with this a little bit, okay? So now that you've seen it, let's do it together. Roll onto your back, hug your knees in, rock side to side, and grab your strap. I want you to loop your right foot and have both sides of your strap pointing to the left, and it's in your left hand. Your right hand is free. Put your left foot on the mat, bend your right knee a little more, and then what I'd like you to do is bring your strap behind your neck. Your neck is supported here. Begin to extend your left leg onto the floor. Open the right knee up a little bit and allow the weight of your head to give you this really yummy right glute and hamstring stretch. Adjust and play with it. I know you'll get it. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Take the strap from behind your neck, hug your right knee into your chest. Put your right foot flat so your right knee is bent. And then hug your left knee in and prepare. So we're going to loop the left foot. Both sides of the strap are in my right hand to the right. I'm going to bend my left knee, bring that strap to the back of my neck. Open my left knee up a little more. Begin to extend my right leg out onto the floor. So the weight of my head, and by the way, my neck is totally supported, is what's helping me open the back of my left thigh and glute. Couple more breaths here, fine tune it, get the maximum stretch. And then you can release your strap, you're done with it. Hug your left knee in. Bring your right knee up to meet it and rock side to side. We're going to take the right thigh really tightly over the left thigh, super tight crossing of the legs. Reach down, grab either the feet or ankles if you can, opening your knees up to 90 degrees and then pulling a little bit on the feet or ankles. If that's too much, you can just hug your tightly crossed knees into your chest. So you should feel this again in your right glute or piriformis somewhat intently. Take a few more breaths here. We're going to keep the thighs tightly crossed, put the left foot back down in the middle of the mat, open the right arm out to the right, and drop both knees to the left. So hopefully you feel a little bit of stretch in that right glute and hip area. If this is too much torque on your low back, you may uncross your legs. On your next inhale, bring the legs back up, uncross them, hug the knees in. Then we're going the other way, so take your left thigh tightly over your right. Grab the feet or ankles, if you can. Flex your ankles 90 degrees at your knees, and then you gently pull on the feet. Keeping knees tightly crossed. We put the right foot back down in the middle of the mat. Open the left arm to the left and drop both knees to the right. Again, if you need to, you may uncross the legs. On your next inhale, bring the legs back up. Hug them in, rock side to side. So it just depends upon your body. If you can do plow pose, we're going to do that and make it an even deeper glute stretch. If plow is a bad idea for you because of neck or shoulder issues, then the alternative today, if you don't mind, for your inversion, is to extend the legs and just pull them in towards your chest, as though you're doing a seated forward bend, but you're doing it on your back. All right, so that's option one. Option two is to just let those legs go all the way up and overhead. Hands can be on the hips as necessary. Just taking a couple of breaths. If you are able, bring your knees to your forehead and point your toes towards the ceiling. So this is candlestick. And actually it gives you a lot of length in the glutes. Separate the knees a little and slide them down towards the ears. Extend your legs again, all the way up and overhead, maybe touching the floor. And then we exhale and come all the way back down. Hugging the knees into the chest, rocking side to side, grabbing the outside edges of the feet to wiggle around in happy baby. And wow, you should feel some difference here, right? You've done an immense amount of opening and lengthening and stretching of your Beauteous, Gluteus, Maximus, those large, strong, dense muscles. And they're so important for us. They help us stay upright. They help keep our back healthy. So all of the glute work that you've done today is really valuable as an upright being. I hope you can feel some of the benefits as you're wiggling around in your happy baby. And then I'd like you to go ahead and just place your feet on the mat. We're going to do that gentle hip roll. Let's start to settle everything down. So your knees are bent, feet are together, knees are together. And as you exhale, you just gently drop both knees a little to one side. As you inhale, they come back up. And as you exhale, they drop the other way. So you're just slowly, gently rolling your hips side to side in time with your beautiful breath. We'll go one more time on each side. Then the next time that your knees come to the center, allow them to drop open. Soles of the feet together so that we can lengthen our back in this position. We're going to inhale and press the low back into the mat. So a lot of the poses I had you do today, I asked you to keep your spine extended. This is the opposite. So it's just kind of giving your back that little bit of extra relief it might need. The next time you exhale, release, let the curve come back in your spine. One more time, inhale, flatten your back, press your low back into the floor, hold it. And then exhale and release, extend your legs. Separate the feet a little or a lot, it's completely up to you. Once you do get your legs separated, just take a moment and make sure that those beautiful glutes that we've been doing all this work on are really nice and relaxed. So pay particular attention to not holding any tension in your glutes. And then lengthen your back. Let your shoulders be nice and down away from the ears. Your neck is long. Your hands are below your heart. The palms are facing up. Your fingers are relaxed. Your jaw is relaxed. Your eyes are closed. Your forehead is relaxed and smooth. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Just allow your body to settle and really kind of soak in and absorb all of the physical practice that you've done today. Allow your body to absorb all of the prana and life force that you've generated today. And allow your mind and your heart to absorb all of the space that you've created, this openness. So the great thing is every part of us is connected. There's no separation truly between our mind and our body and our heart and our spirit. It's all really so intricately interconnected. So when you expand a muscle group and create space, you also can expand your mind and create space in your heart. So for these next few minutes, simply soak in all of the good work that you did this morning. So just starting to feel back into your body on your mat. Slowly becoming aware of all the sensations in your body and your external environment. So beginning to integrate internal and external worlds. Start to deepen your breath a little bit and bring those small amounts of movement back. So whether that's fingers and toes or moving the head or fluttering the eyelids. And then take a deep breath in, spread your fingers and toes. Exhale through your mouth as you relax them. Take an even deeper breath in and stretch through your arms and legs. Just stretch back out to your fullest length and exhale. Hug your knees in. Roll to your right side. And when you're ready, press yourself up into sitting. So as we come to our seated position today, I'd like you to be really connected to your sit bones. Make sure that you've got your pelvis tilted properly, even if you need to sit on something, so that you can feel your sit bones connecting down, because I want you to become aware of your tailbone. Everything that we did today corresponds beautifully to our first energy center, Muladhara Chakra. It's our root chakra, and it has a lot to do with survival. And so we're all very fortunate and blessed to be living under the conditions that we are. We have roofs over our head. We have food on our table. We're not under any immediate and imminent threat. However, we still have our own stressors that we sometimes feel threaten our survival, and that might be from an internal perspective. So it's nice to just acknowledge that we are safe and secure, and also stay rooted so that we can maintain that even from an internal perspective. So I would like you to just do a basic Ujjayi breath for your pranayama today, but I would like you to imagine that you are breathing up through your tailbone to the top of your head. So your spine is like a straw. You are breathing in from the earth all the way up to the crown of the head. And when you breathe out from the crown of the head, all the way back down the spine and out your tailbone, okay? So nice straight spine, relaxed shoulders. This is all through the nose, Ujjayi breathing, inhaling from the tailbone up to the top of the head, exhaling from the top of the head, back down and out the tailbone. As you finish off this next breath, simply allow the breath to return to its normal way of being, in and out through the nose, in and out of the lungs. And then bring your palms together in front of your heart. And let's just take a moment in gratitude that we are safe, right? So root chakra is survival. First of all, we have a 100% survival rate so far. That's definitely something to be grateful for. And the fact that we are safe, we are secure as much as anyone can be on a little speck of dust that's spinning rapidly and hurtling through space. Take one more deep breath in through your nose. Big happy sigh. Bring palms together in front of our foreheads. We're reminded to be present, to simply pay attention to our lives. Bringing our palms together in front of our mouths, we're reminded to speak our truth and also to speak our gratitude, to say thank you. We bring our palms together in front of our hearts. This reminds us to keep our hearts open, to always be mindful of being kind, compassionate, and loving towards everyone, including ourselves. Thank you for joining me this morning. Namaste.